time, Joe Hurd, Director of Community Development, is going to give us an update on several of our contracted services. Joe?
All right. Thank you, Mayor Kingston. We started off, and on your, let's see, on your agenda, you have a list of 5 things, which we thought was a pretty good amount. And unfortunately, maybe being married to a chief has led to some great investigative qualities for Lori, but she and Kay, in the process of putting together this presentation, I'm not going to take a whole lot of credit for this one, but the two of them did a lot of the research on this, but came up with not only the 5 topics that we had on the agenda, but also several other things that we just kind of, whiffed on and, just said, well, let's go ahead and make it comprehensive and add them in. So just wanted to kind of walk through with you. The intent today isn't necessarily to have any great discussion on these. It would be of interest to us if there are particular services that you would like to have further discussion about, whether that is something that maybe we need to bid out that we haven't in recent history, or whether it's something that you have a concern about how we work with a particular service, let us know, and we'll be glad to present. We can do that at any future council meeting where we can delve in a little more deeply, and Drew or I can provide more information about that. So just let us know. But we don't have enough time to really dig in deep today. So going to start off with some of our more recent things that you've seen before you. We have our contract with Waste Management, deals with both our residential and commercial waste, the door-to-door pickup that we do, as well as they are also responsible for our commercial recycling. So they have the commercial side of that, where they're doing the dumpster pickups and at the businesses in the morning hours, that type of thing. So as you're aware, for our recent discussions, we just entered into a 3-year contract with them, with Waste Management, that will expire September 30th, 2023. You see the rates up there on the screen, and we do build in up to a 3% consumer price index increase annually. In a similar vein, you'll recall at the same time we had reviewed our contract for residential recycling services, which are provided by Tidewater FIBRE. One of the benefits of our recent review late this fall, winter, looking at those contracts, is that we were able to get them on the same schedule. So now all of our waste management, solid waste management things are on the same schedule, again, as a 3-year contract that would carry through September 30th. You see the amount there, and again, we have an up to 3% consumer price index increase annually worked into that contract. I guess this is our segue slide here, where we're going from trash to landscaping, and this kind of is the bridge there. So we did separately this year, if you'll recall, when we took a look at all of our landscape services and rebid those for the first time in a while, we took out the trash collection portion of that because we wanted to get, we thought we would get more bids from landscape companies if we were focusing on the services that they typically provide, rather than throwing in additional things like this that might not appeal to certain companies. So we pulled that out of the original contract. It was something that COINJOCK Farms had been doing previously. After we went through the whole process of bidding and contracting for the landscape services, we went back out and put this smaller bid out for services for trash collection. And again, what we're talking about here are public trash cans in and around the town park, few of them that we have on the boardwalk. In that instance, COINJOCK was clearly the low bidder on that project, and you can see the amounts on that. They do charge us more during the busy season because they have to collect more often during those. They do it twice as often to keep those cans clean during the May to September season. Again, that's a contract that carries till the end of 2023. So again, moving forward to the landscape contracts, if you recall, we broke that up into 3 components. Caribbean Landscaping was awarded the landscape services for our sidewalks and the landscape strips and all that through Duck Village at a cost of $20,000 a year. Again, that contract will carry through the end of 2023. It's a 3-year contract with a 3% consumer price index increase up to that annually. And the other component to that, again, we broke it into 3. The other 2 elements of that bid were the low bidder and contract was awarded to COINJOCK Lawn Care. That includes the landscape services for the Duck Trail south and north of Duck Village, along the multi-use path. So that's just keeping that clean, trimming trees up to be sure it's at an appropriate level, things of that nature. But the major part of is really the other component, which is working with all of our property here in and around the town park. So they are responsible for all of the planting, grass cutting, maintenance, all in and around the park. So, yes, sir.
Do we pay for the plants that they put in?
We pay for the flowers and things like that separately because it gives us an opportunity to be a little more flexible with what's selected. As far as, if we want to do something a little different one year or, that kind of thing. So it just gives us that opportunity to work on that. So we do pay for those plants separately, the flowers, but the main stuff is part of their contract, the grass seed, fertilizing, those kind of things. So again, that is a 3-year contract that'll carry us through the end of 2023. While we're still on landscaping, I believe I briefly mentioned this in passing during the presentation earlier. We do contract with a company by the name of Emerald Forest for the installation and fertilization of our beach grass and sea oats. That's an annual program that we do to help stabilize our dune systems here in Duck. You can see there we have it's a little over $65,000 we're spending on that. If you'll recall, going all the way back to the CIP yesterday, we talked about a total of $150,000 for that type of activity annually. That included beach monitoring, but this is the biggest chunk of that cost, is what we pay them for the beach grass and sea oats. Again, this is a 3-year contract. However, this contract we entered into a little bit earlier, and it's scheduled to expire June 30th, 2022. So we'll probably be talking with you about budget time next year, about looking at this and probably rebidding this and coming to you with different, so you'll have options as far as contract goes to continue this forward. Their current contract does have some extension clauses in it. So we'll talk about this more again. We have literally an entire year till we need to reach that point, but the council would have the option of going ahead and extending it if you're satisfied with the service that Emerald Forest is providing. Now we have a couple financial contracts. I did want to point this one out in particular. Teresa Osborne, who presented yesterday and has worked with the town closely on our financials over the last half a year. The initial contract that they had with the town was actually just a $4,000 contract that related to what we call the Red Book auditing that we had to do this year related to the 2020 audit. That is actually the only contract we have with them. So I approached Teresa about, due to our needs on the financial side, about continuing, expanding her service. We do not actually have a contract with her. So she is charging us at $125 an hour for those services. But we don't have a contract, something I've let Drew know, and we'll talk about that if we, as far as coming to you, if we needed to formalize that. Related to that, Johnson, Mizell, Straub, and Murphy. Lisa Murphy just a month ago came and presented our audit for fiscal year 2020. This firm has conducted our audit services for quite some time. I didn't do a historical check to know quite how far back that goes, but for a long time they've done it. It's at $19,000 a year. We do consider a new contract annually in July, August. Oftentimes it's submitted to us in July. Council sees it and approves it in August. So this is something that we have not competitively bid out for a while. That is something, if the council wants to do that, you're welcome to let us know that. We can make those arrangements.
Joe, just a question there.
Yeah.
Do they also do our payroll?
Yes, they do.
So that's a separate.
And Laura, I'm sorry, do you know if this is included in that, the 19,000? Does that include the payroll services? Okay. Okay. So this is only for the audit, but they do also do that as far as the payroll.
And do they also charge us for consulting, like questions about capital reserve funds and things like that?
No. Well, but we haven't had to do that, but well, if it's not in their contract, we would have to do that, but we haven't used that, put it that way.
I mean, I know there's a lot of consultation, like for the beach management. Last time we did it with Lisa, I was just curious.
Okay.
If they billed us back for that time material. Or
I'd have to look for that specifically if it was that long, but we haven't, in recent years, we haven't had to do that type of thing.
Yeah.
As far as that goes. Legal expenses, Hornthal, Riley, Ellis, and Maland. Again, we have the way this contract is set up, have a monthly retainer of $2,500 and additional fees contracted on an hourly basis for things that are outside the scope of that contract, which is basically kind of the odd and end questions that, if I've got some zoning or development related question about a process or how we need to do this, or preparing something for council, those things are all within that retainer. Their attendance at up to 2 council meetings a month, that's all under the retainer. But anything beyond that, where we're getting into more complicated issues, are billed hourly. Technically, the last formal contract we entered into with them is July 2016. However, this is something that we do consider and renew annually as part of the budget process. So they usually provide us with a figure for the upcoming budget year. So that's how that one's worked. SHOSHIN Technologies. This is our IT support group. So they really, most everything we deal with technology-wise, SHOSHIN has a hand in, everything from ordering equipment to getting things set up to troubleshooting when we run across issues. So they are our, IT support. You can see there we have a fee there, $3,850 a month almost. The most recent contract found for them was December 2015. The way their contract is set up is that the contract renews each June unless either party decides to terminate the relationship. So we haven't had any reason to do so in in those years. So we've continued that relationship. But again, this is a service that we have not revisited since 2015.
The monthly charge there, Joe, is that for kind of networking services, et cetera? Does that include if they have to come in and reset a computer and all that? That included in that monthly fee? Or do they bill us over and above?
And Lori's our liaison with them, so I'm going to let her answer that.
They will bill, they will bill over and above if they have to come in and do extra work.
And obviously, and let me just also state that all the capital equipment, if we're buying new phones, buying computer, things like that, that is not under the contract. That would also be separate from. So finally, the one had at your service, which is our cleaning services here. Look back and found out they've been doing this for the town since 2003. So right now, the way we have it set up, we do not have a formal contract with this company. But we do have a cost for a per hour fee that is provided that works out to $640 a month for the police department and almost $5,000 a month for town hall and meeting hall. You recall we updated you, let's see, I don't know, late last year, maybe early fall kind of time frame about the impacts of COVID and what we were doing with that. We had over the summer months where we, particularly when it was in either the early stages of COVID through late spring through the summer, we had them coming quite often, and with the amount of visitors and things using our public areas like the bathrooms, we had them coming in twice a day to work on that at one point in time. As we trended out of the high tourist season, we cut that back somewhat. So this is really what we're looking at, something in this range. This is sort of their standard typical thing. But with the understanding that we have had times when we'd ask them to come in, do some additional cleaning and sanitizing for public health and safety. So,
Joe, quickly, the 640, before you leave this slide, the 640 for the police department, you're talking about the public safety building in its entirety?
No,
the fire department doesn't contract with them?
They do not. Okay. So again, the key thing with this is that this is a service for which we have never had a contract. So this may be one where we may want to look at formalizing that arrangement, whether, again, whether it's with them or, whether we want to go and bid or things like that. Those are all questions we would, ask for your guidance on if you're interested in pursuing that. And that's just a quick rundown. I wanted to get us a little closer to being back on schedule, but just wanted to provide you with that information as you requested.